Well, welcome everyone to our Negociantes Unidos meeting for the month of April. I hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday morning, and we are excited to be joined this morning by our very own Deputy Mayor here in the city of Fresno, Matthew Grundy, who will be providing us an inspirational message this morning on his role as Deputy Mayor, sharing a little bit more about what that day-to-day operation looks like, and of course, sharing some great news about the continued growth of our beautiful city here in the city of Fresno. And with that being said, I would like to quickly share with you our agenda for today. Of course, I want to remind you all to use the chat box feature to be able to interact during our Q&A session. And this meeting we'll be having, it'll be very interactive. So be in the lookout for some instructions provided by Matthew. And of course, we'll continue with some announcements at the end of the meeting. And with that, I would like to take the moment to welcome and introduce our very own CEO, Dora Westerland.
Thank you, Sandra, and welcome on behalf of our board of directors and our team at the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation. I'd like to welcome all of you. And indeed, it is a beautiful day here in the city of Fresno. We are honored to have all of you today, and especially our deputy city manager of Fresno, Matthew Grundy. So thank you so much. We're honored to have you here today. And with that, I'd like to continue and talk a little bit about what we have been doing. And first, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Without them, we couldn't do as much. So I'd like to thank Bank of America, Comcast, Bank of Wells Fargo, and Bank of the West, Donna Giselle's, Chevron, and then Tri-Counties, JP Morgan Chase, Union Bank, and Bank of San Francisco. Thank you, all of you, for your support. Without you, we couldn't do all of what we do and the services that we provide to small businesses. And I like to give a special thank you and a recognition to our partner for a very long time. They've been our partners of the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation for, I do believe, the past 17 years at Chevron. But this year we have an unprecedented partnership, an unprecedented donation that they have provided to our organization. And we are very thankful that they are sponsoring this year's Womenpreneur and Latinapreneur program and our business in the box. So thank you so much, Chevron, for your partnership and for your continued support to our organization, but ultimately is to our community. So thank you so much for that support of this 2021. And with that, I'd like to talk a little bit about what we have been doing here. So we have been really busy. As you all know, a lot of small businesses continue to have challenges. One of the top challenges is how do small businesses get money so that they can start up their business or kind of reopen their doors, or how do you get individuals to their doors? I think those are the two things that we have been seeing a lot, amongst other challenges, but we have been busy helping them. So having said that, we here at the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation and my team, we are assisting small businesses with application process, either for the California Relief Grant Program that just opened again right now for the 6th round and final round. So if you're a small business and you haven't applied for California Relief Grant Program, I encourage you to do so. We are helping small businesses fill out the application and complete it. So that's starting today, and it finishes on May the 4th. And then we have been helping as well with the Small Business Administration Payroll Protection Program. We're helping small businesses to fill it out. So they come in here. We'll help them with all of the details that it implies to fulfill an application for the PPP. And of course, that deadline is coming up. So it's May the 31st. So if you haven't applied for PPP, please call us and we could help you with that. And as I said, we are going to start our 4th cohort of Womenpreneur and Latinapreneur. and that program has been very successful. We've had over 230 women from all over the world that are joining because they are in need of having some marketing skills and how do you get clients to your doors. That's very, very important. So we're starting our fourth cohort. So if you you're a woman-owned business, please contact us and join this amazing cohort of amazing women that are going to be learning how to market your business, how to build your own platforms and websites so that you could get more traffic to your doors. And then, of course, it's an English cohort and we have a Spanish cohort. So you can select, we have bilingual, well, it's in Spanish and English. So please join us for that. And then we have joined forces with T-Mobile for Project 10 Million. We are very excited to provide free hotspots to children that are from K to 12. And we are very, very excited that this weekend on Saturday, we will be in Livingston and we will have a drive so that people can come, families can come and apply as well for this hotspot. We have, I do believe is June the 30th is the deadline for that. So anybody who is part of the National School Lunch Program, any children who is part of this program, they're able and they qualify to get a hotspot. And I know that right now is so important for children to get one because sometimes there is more than one child in the household so that they're able to get Wi-Fi internet through that hotspot easily. So please contact us. We are here to help you in your needs. We have been really, really busy. We've helped thousands of businesses that have come through our doors, and we are excited to do that. We feel it's a blessing and a huge commitment to our community to be able to assist small businesses. So we take it very seriously, and we want to make sure that we're helping as many businesses as possible. And as we said in the past, we are business for all. You don't have to be Latino to come and get our services. You can come. We've helped other ethnic backgrounds, and we are happy to do so. Thank you so much for joining us. I know we have we want to hear from Deputy City Manager. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of update on what we have been doing, and I will pass it on. I do believe it's our on-board member, Fausto Hinojosa, who will be introducing our keynote speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you all here and be back together. And it is my special privilege to introduce Matthew. I have his bio here, so I'll read some of that. And I'd just like to share also a couple of personal things about Matthew. Recognized for his entrepreneurial spirit, creativity, and passion for building organizations, Matthew brings expertise in organizational development, real estate, finance, and capacity building to the city of Fresno. Most importantly, Matthew has a genuine love for people. I'm glad that's included there because as I got to meet him while he was the CEO of Habitat, his love for people, his passion for living and for caring for others was extremely evident, and he's been an inspiration in my life. So I was glad that what he's going to talk about today is not just the nuts and bolts, but also share how we can care for one another. Matthew helped lead strategic visioning for 1,200 Habitat operations across the U.S. His leadership led to the expansion of building homes and hope with families across 2 counties. Prior to Habitat, he worked as an organizational consultant, developer, and president of a national supplemental educational services company that focused on turning around failing public schools. His work helped improve K-12 academic outcomes for over 250,000 low-income students across 16 states with 1,000 schools. He's from Southern California and has a bachelor's degree from USC in business administration with an emphasis in entrepreneurial study. His wife, Jocelyn, and their 6 children are looking forward to the next season of their lives. So it is an honor to introduce Matthew. So excited that he has taken on that role. I was sad to see him leave Habitat, but I know that he is continuing to serve the community. We are very fortunate to have somebody like Matthew serving in our community and partnering with us here at the foundation. So Matthew, please, the floor is yours.
Oh, wow. Well, good morning, everyone. It's so good to see you, even if it's virtually. Thank you, Fausto, for those kind words. I certainly love you and appreciate you and all of you and the work that you do in the community. We are one community. And I'll be honest, as Fausto mentioned, I've been one of those folks that's been struggling with this virtual stuff because I'm a hugger. And so I give you all virtual hugs today. Say thank you for attending today's meeting. A big shout out to Sandra. Thanks for putting this together. And Madam President, appreciate your opening remarks. And hopefully we have a really good and interactive talk here today, as best we can, being that we're here virtually. So, I'll start off. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat today. I think there's a lot that's going on, and we all play an important role in it. We're all one fabric, one community, and as we'll share here, one Fresno. And so I'm delighted to be with you today. We'll chat a little bit about what's going on in the city. I know recently, or in a not too distant past, you had Mayor Dyer attend and share some things. I want to provide a few updates on what's been going on in the city and that we've been doing together. And then separately, I'll share or weave in a little bit of my own personal story in the hopes that because I know that we've all been going through some different times, I would like to say. So today's talk will be focused on one vision, one mission, one Fresno. Let's build together. Before we get started here, I'm going to need your participation. So if you have your cell phones or you're right in front of your computer, I'd like to ask that you please, if you can, enroll in my poll. I have a few questions here just so I get a sense of the room and who's present. You can respond to my poll. You'll see at the top of your screen by going on your web browser and typing in pollev.com/mgrundy125. You can do it that way, or, and this is all free, by the way, and it's anonymous. I just want to really know who's in the room and who we're chatting with. Separately, you can text mgrundy125 to the number 22333. And once you press send, it'll give you prompts. So again, you see it on top of your screen. It's small. You may need your magnifying glass there, but I see folks are already starting to respond. Please enroll in my poll. Love to hear as we get ready to get started here in the chat. Just know who's in the room. So if you can do that, that'd be awesome. The first question here is, how long have you been a part of your organization? I know some of you have been serving in your organization for a long time. Others have been leading your organization as a CEO for a long time. But yeah, sorry, I know, again, it's a little small at the top, but thanks. I saw somebody drop it in the chat. Just really curious to see where folks are on that spectrum in terms of service. You know, today's a very special day to me, being with you all. As at this very moment last year, I was slotted to be the keynote at a naturalization ceremony here in the city of Fresno. And so to be with the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation today is particularly meaningful to me, as we have much to do across our community in terms of equity and supports to those who are often don't have a voice or not have as prominent a voice as others. And so for those of you who are serving in various capacities, thank you. As we see it unfolding here, 43% of the respondents so far have been at their organization for less than 1 year. it looks like the second largest, folks from 6 to 10 years and 16 plus years. So we have folks all over the spectrum here today for our talk. Thank you for responding to that poll. I'm going to ask you the next question here. The next question, if you can respond to the same poll. And once you're in my poll, you don't have to respond twice, by the way. You don't have to enroll twice, by the way. The next question is, historically, what best describes your business relationship with the city of Fresno? I know that over time, depending on how long you've been at your organization or been resident here in the city of Fresno, you've seen things evolve. Perhaps your relationship with the city of Fresno, perhaps your role. But really curious to just understand a sense of how engaged you have been connected with the city of Fresno. We've been here at City Hall, the Dyer administration, since January 5. So it's we're just quote unquote getting started. But I know some folks have a long history with the city, some not so much. And later we'll talk a little bit about how strong the relationship is, or pleasant or unpleasant the relationship is, because we're just a family. We want to be open. So thank you. I see 40% folks say minimally connected, 50% say moderately connected so far. We're now seeing some non-existent relationships. We don't see anybody yet saying that working with the city of Fresno is a regular part of business. And perhaps our hope will be to change that over time. There's some folks. Okay, we're seeing that now. We really want to see D become a reality. But we want to know exactly where we are right now. And frankly, a lot of folks, I think, are probably in the minimally connected category. Some, frankly, just based on my experience. Thank you for responding to that for those who did. My last question before we get going is just a matter of empathy and understanding. We know that this last year has been challenging for folks. Coming out of the pandemic, assuming we are coming out of the pandemic, at this current moment in time, what best describes the state of your business's health? Unfortunately, there's some that we know would say we're out of business. Some would say we're barely holding on. Some would say our business is operating at a similar level to pre-pandemic times. And while others would say, hey, we're actually doing better than we were before. And I know for those of you who are on that latter end, some of you have survivor guilt, don't have survivor guilt. It's important for us all to be cheering on those who are doing well, but also encouraging, trying to pull up those who are struggling. And that's, I think, part of the foundation here, is to help folks wherever they are on the spectrum. And so thank you for those who've responded. Looks like a vast majority is saying, hey, you're operating at pre-pandemic levels. And that's awesome to know. Unfortunately, we're also seeing some folks pop up, say they're out of business. And again, we're very sorry, but the hope is that we might rally together as a community, that there might be a new season for you, perhaps a better season, one door closed and one open type thing. And so thank you for those of you who responded to that poll. I think that's very good context for today's conversation, particularly the last question. I'll share a bit of my own personal story here. I, like many of you, if we're human, life happens. And so for me, I've had an amazing road, an amazing journey. You've heard some of the kind of highlights in my bio earlier that Fausto was so kind to read. But those aren't the only highlights. I've had the highlights that actually are lowlights as well. And for me, I think one thing I'd also like to share about myself is that years ago, life happened. Mom was diagnosed terminally ill. Dad was laid off a few years before retirement. Economically, we became very challenged trying to keep mom going. And subsequently, my family, we wound up homeless my junior and senior year in high school. Coming from that situation, in the moment you wonder, why me? I was in an area, great parents, great school, great community, but life happened, and you find yourself kind of grasping for straws, saying, why me, or what can I do to get out of the situation? What I know is that God's love demonstrated through people rallying around me, the old cliche, it takes a village, was very applicable in my life. Folks rallied around me, organizations, individuals, to help support and ultimately help me along the journey that I've been on. And what I've learned, and this frankly, this picture you see here is one of the hotels that we stayed at during my time of kind of going from place to place and trying to figure it out. It was kind of dark times, challenging times. But my dad, when he was living, he always taught me, uh, hindsight is always 2020. We've heard that. And often what I've learned is your mess can very much become your message, and your test can become your testimony. For me, going through that situation and then subsequently years later losing everything in an economic downturn when the real estate market crashed, um, I learned that those things were very pivotal to leading me on the journey that I've been on. And as was mentioned, who would have known that I would have ultimately one day been the CEO for Habitat for Humanity, in a position where it was necessary that I be able to provide the compassion that I once needed for those who lacked safe and decent shelter. That ultimately led to Mayor Dyer asking me if I would come join the team as deputy mayor for the city of Fresno, knowing that there was much more work that we need to do across the community. I think I myself would like to say that I'm a bit of a poster child for positive economic mobility. And I think for those of you who are part of this wonderful organization in whatever capacity, we know that we want to see inclusive economic development, inclusive economic mobility. And I want to tell you, I want to encourage you that it is possible for anyone to make it from the basement to the top, from from homelessness to home ownership. It's possible. And for your businesses and your organizations and those whom you represent, anything is possible. And I know that's often said cliche, but we can make it as one community, as one Fresno. When Mayor Dyer was last here, you heard from him on the vision. I want to touch on it. When he was out campaigning, he knocked doors and asked folks, "Hey, what do you see for Fresno? What do you desire and hope for Fresno?" And many of you were part of those conversations. I've seen folks here on the call, Miss Jackie Ryle, hey, good to see you. Tim Rios, great to see you. Other folks and friends that have been a part of the solution for years. But what the residents told Mayor Dyer that he formed into a vision for all of us was that we desire an inclusive, prosperous, beautiful city where people take pride in their neighborhoods and communities, and a government that listens, keeps its promises, and is owned by the people. That part of inclusivity is the importance of being a part of the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation. It's all of us together, that irrespective of where we are and any social identifier, that we are serving those who need it most. The prosperity has everything to do with economic development. This beautiful city, us all taking ownership and taking pride in this place we call home, and obviously a government that actually cares. This underpinned by this notion of we work for you, this culture of we work for you. That's the vision, and that's what we're trying to live out. To get there, Mayor Dyer has been gracious enough to really capture what are the priorities for the administration. And it's something that some folks say, what does a deputy mayor do? My responsibility is trying to make sure that these priorities are carried out. They're all founded on a basis of restoring public trust and safety. But if you were a participant to the last meeting in which Mayor Dyer was present, you heard these priorities, and I'll touch on them quickly. It's housing and homelessness. It's focusing on those who perhaps do not have access to safe, decent, affordable housing, those who've been displaced, et cetera, that we see the most vulnerable in our community. The priority is beautifying Fresno, which is restoring our city's curb appeal, and again, caring for this place. It's inclusive economic development, most apropos to today's discussion. We're going to talk about, I'm going to touch on some key things some early wins in our first 100 days, but also some things that we're endeavoring to do here in the future, and an invitation to partnership with you. It's downtown pride, which former Mayor Swearingen really did a lot to try to kickstart the revitalization of downtown. We want to carry that baton further and really invest in a vibrant downtown. It's youth leadership. And Mayor Dyer's often said that, we are told that the youth are the leaders of tomorrow, and that's true, but we also believe that the youth leaders of tomorrow are the leaders today. And we saw that this past year in social unrest, that youth were standing up and saying, hey, we're going to make our voice heard. And so we want to give them that platform and honor our youth. And then there's this notion, the sixth priority, which is called We Work for You. And it's culture change. When I moved here to Fresno, I was met with a lot of cynicism from Fresnans. Why would you move here? And I'm looking around, I'm saying, this place is great. I don't know what you're talking about. Fresno is amazing. Why? Because I believe people make the place. You make the place. And this place is amazing. And so, back to those folks who've been here 9 plus, 10 plus, 16 plus years in your role, like, thank you. You make this place. And we want to highlight the good here. We want to celebrate what is awesome here, because I've lived elsewhere. The grass is not greener. If it is, it's probably AstroTurf, it's not. And so we want to highlight and change the narrative around Fresno. We know folks have all played parts in that in the past. You've had Fres Yes, et cetera, but we want to change the narrative from City Hall and help highlight that, which is good. And so those are the priorities. But we're going to talk about a few of the recent wins, and we're going to talk about some things specific to economic development that I think you'll want to hear. I'll start with housing the homeless. Again, from a very personal perspective and vantage point, this is something very meaningful to me and Mayor and the entire administration. And for those of you who've seen and recognize, we had an influx of homeless in our community, 68% influx over year from 2019 to 2020. Most of those folks, because the governor declared public right-of-ways, areas where you could not displace homeless, we saw homeless lining our freeways, the most vulnerable and frankly unsafe parts of our community. Whereas over a week and a half period, we had 3 homeless folks roll down embankments and die due to being hit by oncoming traffic. We had Fresno Fire respond to 618 fires last year, just due to homeless starting fires, trying to keep warm on our freeways. Unacceptable for anyone to have to live in those conditions. This could be our mom, our brother, our sister, our sons and daughters. And so the mayor has set forth the Housing the Homeless effort, partnering with the state on Project Home Key funding and starting a program here called Project Off Ramp. As many of you seen on the news, the good news is that year to date, we've acquired multiple hotels in partnership with the Fresno Housing Authority west of the 99 off Parkway Ave. And we've been very fortunate to help provide housing now to 250 homeless that were right here in our community with wraparound services. Most folks think that sometimes homeless don't want services. We've seen in our conversations over 70% of folks that are out there want services. These are folks that are often, not just personally going through problems, but perhaps causing a little bit of a challenge and visual, roadblock for you and your businesses. If you've driven the freeways, you've seen the visible change. The 41 is now clear. The city had historically done a good job of displacing. We're now trying to do better job at placing the most vulnerable. We're now working the 168 and 180. You're seeing parts of that cleared. And then also you jump over, we'll soon be at the 99. But the good news is that we're on our way to really trying to do our best to address the homeless issue in our community. Please note that the caveat is that the need far outstrips the ability for us to serve, and so we need all of you. We need our entire community to come together, do what we can to support our most vulnerable. So, just an update there. The next priority, which is Beautify Fresno, again, an effort at taking back our city's curb appeal. Just this past weekend, we conducted a major event. That's what you're seeing this picture here, an army of volunteers. We are saying, hey, this is our home. We care for this place. We want folks to know they're valuable and that every person in this community is worthy of investment and value, and that subsequently we would have tremendous value in this place we call home. Not throw stuff out of our windows, not leave stuff on the corners. And so Beautify Fresno is an effort where we're partnering with volunteers, even companies and organizations that want to do a good team build and come out. And we're saying, hey, we're going to target underinvested areas of our community, areas that are blighted and left behind. We're going to show up with volunteers. We're going to pick up trash. We're going to fill potholes. We're going to we're going to do graffiti abatement and trim trees and all told, just this past Saturday, we've been doing this every Saturday or every other Saturday since January 5. And as a part of this effort, this past Saturday, we hit 12 locations with 1,200 volunteers all throughout the community. We spent 2 hours on Saturday and removed 10,000 pounds of trash that would otherwise fill up our local landfills or just be unsightly in our streets. And then we abated 4,000 square feet of graffiti, you know, and which was huge, and planted 150 trees during the process. So for any of you who
in person,
who
outside. So
thank you so much for your participation. For those of you who were not,
I missed that. Share.
oh, we got some folks talking on the line. For those of you who are not, we'd love for you to get involved. You can join us at beautifyfresno.org. It's beautifyfresno.org. So we'd love to have you. If you're interested in coming out with you or your family or your organization, we'll begin to that. I want to pivot and discuss a few wins related to economic development that I think will matter and that you'll be interested in hearing more about. The first is an important one for all of us. I think, you know, coming out of the pandemic and being party to a economic downturn, you know, jobs have been really, really important. The good news is that we've seen some real progress in terms of unemployment numbers in the city of Fresno. They not only continue to drop, but they also remain below our state unemployment numbers. In March 2021, the city's unemployment rate is at 7.9%, down a half percentage point from February's numbers, which is great. And the number of unemployed in Fresno has decreased from 1,300 to, or excuse me, has decreased by 1,300 and down to 18,000 total. And so, you know, thank you for all of you. I know some of this has been, you know, it's been, I'd say, foisted upon us due to pandemic shutdown requirements for businesses, and it's terrible. We're trying to open up as quickly and responsibly as we can in alignment with state and federal guidance. But the good news is that unemployment's down, so that's really good news for all of us. You know, one of the things folks have shared is that, you know, Fresno isn't too business friendly. City of Fresno is not too business friendly. I'm probably one of the first to have said that in my former role, being on the other side of the counter. But I'll tell you that we are committed. Mayor Dyer and the team are committed to changing that narrative. And you may have heard him say it. We are committed to removing red tape and rolling out red carpet. That is our commitment. And as you know, Mayor Dyer is a get it done type of guy, and as is his team. And we are absolutely adamant that this will happen. We know we've seen previous iterations of it: Business Friendly Fresno 1.0, Business Friendly Fresno 2.0, and the like. We are committed. We don't even want to name this. We just want to let you know that we are committed to changing things. The first thing as a part of that effort is I personally was asked to conduct an assessment of our planning and building and safety departments to help us understand an overview of our strengths, weaknesses, and areas of and mitigations that would change what goes on at City Hall. That report was completed in mid-February. We're now implementing the recommendations. So please know that you're going to see in the very short term a drastic change in the way business is being done in City Hall. It's a series of steps. It's iterative. It's going to be ongoing. It's going to take us some time, but you're going to see things starting to change. So just know that that's important. I think it impacts the overall economic development and housing efforts that we're focused on. Speaking of housing, it's important to mention for those of you who are business owners, who are often property owners or have tenants, for those of you who are tenants, I think it's important. We know that the homeless situation can be exacerbated by a potential end to the moratorium on evictions. We know landlords have been struggling and challenged with not being paid during this eviction moratorium. And for those of you who are aware, the city has received over $30 million in emergency rental assistance funding, and that program has launched. If you're interested in applying, you can just visit fresno.gov. Right there in the center of the page, you'll see a link for you to apply. We've received over 1,000 applications so far and are awarding those funds in order of priority as they come in. But it's to make landlords whole, up to 80% of back due rent. And so that ERA program launch has happened. And if you or someone you know could benefit from it, we'd like to suggest that you please go online and check that out. Downtown Pride. Again, we know that healthy cities, great cities, have vibrant downtowns, and we're focused on restoring the vibrancy of downtown Fresno. And I can tell you that there are several things in the works right now that are aimed at accomplishing exactly that. So just know that behind the scenes, the mayor's administration is focusing on attracting and retaining really amazing city-changing businesses downtown. And we hope that all will be a part of and benefit from the efforts that you're going to soon hear about in the coming months with our downtown efforts. Something that has also recently launched. I saw Miss Claire Whitmer on the line earlier, and shout out to her as she's one of the brain trust behind this. But the Kiva Fund is an important opportunity for those who are interested in receiving a microloan for your business. I know it was mentioned earlier by Madam President that that's an effort of the foundation. But this is a huge one. Kiva, for those of you who do not know, we've learned that many small businesses have struggled to receive loans due to equity barriers. And so the city of Fresno has partnered with the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce and is offering Central Valley residents a donation-based loan program as a solution. So essentially, Kiva is a San Francisco-based nonprofit, and they've hosted their 4th hub here in Fresno. And the program is a first of its kind in the Central Valley. And basically what the fund does is it allows a borrower to apply for a loan that where essentially you have access to this platform of funding from folks all across the nation. It's essentially a microloan crowdfunding source. And you can receive a loan of anywhere from $1,000 to $15,000. The loans have zero interest, and no fees. And if you're like me, I love free 99 money, right? So there's no interest, no fees. Again, $1,000 to $15,000, and the loan amounts are essentially underwritten based on debt. Essentially qualified and underwritten based on debt ratio, financials, and a profile of the applicant. So we'd encourage you to go ahead and Google the Fresno Kiva Fund and find out more. You can reach out to the Fresno's Economic Development Department, Ms. Lupe Perez or Claire Whitmer, and they'll take care of you as well. But that's exciting for folks who are looking for a microloan. And then the first-time homebuyer program, just so you know, behind the scenes, we are working on a down payment assistance program to help first-time home buyers. And so both this first-time home buyer program and the Kiva Fund are targeting we're specifically targeting minority-owned or minority-led or women-led businesses. So while it's available to all, and I love what Madam President said earlier, yes, as this organization even being primarily Latino focused, you're open to all. Same with the Kiva Fund. Even though the partnership is with the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce, same with this first-time homebuyer program. We're availing it to everyone, but we're specifically targeting minority-owned, women-owned businesses. And that's the heart of the mayor. We know that equity and opportunity has not abounded in this city historically. And part of the One Fresno aim is to lift up all parts of the community, irrespective of what side of the city you're on, what color your skin is, what gender, what class, any other social identifier. It's about providing equal opportunities for all. And which will lead me to my last point. And then I have one more question for you, and then I'll open it up to questions from you for the time we have remaining. Is that, we've learned that oftentimes there are outcomes that influence people groups in our community that are sometimes unreported, underreported. Sometimes we have discrimination, racism, sexism, all sorts of isms. And one of the most recent ones we've seen is, attacks on our API friends and neighbors here in our community. And so the mayor during his campaign time heard loud and clear that we needed to do more, not just for our African-American communities, our Latino communities, our API communities, but for all. And so it was his heart that we would launch a Office of Community Affairs. The Office of Community Affairs is a new division that is recently been announced that will be hosted in the mayor's office, led by yours truly, where we will aim to provide resources and supports to people groups often marginalized and without voices all across our community. The Office of Community Affairs will do everything to help liaison hate crimes, to liaison and provide resources for small businesses, to connect folks with, to connect nonprofits with resources and capacity, and build capacity, to even it will host our Office of Immigrant Affairs. And so my wonderful friend, Chris Monalongo, and colleague, who's the Deputy Chief of Staff, will be leading up that effort. We'll be partnering with many of you, the San Molinas of the world and others, but we want to do what we can to support the community more broadly through our Office of Community Affairs. Coming soon, so stay tuned. We have the bones of it together now. Budget together is coming, and then all the details and particulars in the coming months. So stay tuned, and we'll be leaning on you and looking to you actually for influence and input on that office. So that's really, really a new thing, exciting. I said a lot in a short amount of time. I'm going to pop open the chat because I think there's some questions in there as well. But before I open it up to any verbal questions or chat questions, one more question for you. Can you please describe, to the best of your ability, because we are committed not just to the now, but to your future, to being a better partner. And we want to ask you, can you please share and describe how the city of Fresno can be a better partner in supporting your business or businesses like yours? It's anonymous, it's open-ended, but I'd love to hear if there's something that you think that's just burning that you say, I would love for the mayor's office to consider. We just really would like, this is an open-ended question, so you can just type whatever you want in the message box and it'll pop up. But please describe, is there something in a few words or more than a few words, how the city of Fresno can be a better partner in supporting your business or businesses like yours? While folks are perhaps responding to that, I'll open up the chat box and turn it back over also to Sandra to help moderate if there's any questions or anything, or where we're going to go from here. So I see lots of chat messages about, you know, kudos and thanks. This is important and yay. Claire, shout out to Claire Whitmer, who put the Kiva Hub information and her personal email in the chat box for those of you who want to apply for that microloan program. Alexandria asked, who can we contact for the first-time homebuyer program? Good question. It hasn't rolled out just yet, Alexandria. I will make sure, though, that this group gets the contact information, that Sandra gets this information to distribute to you. One of the benefits of being a part of this group is you'll get information early and late breaking. We'll make sure the moment the program is launched and we have the particulars outlined, we'll get it to Sandra and she'll disseminate to the group here. Someone asked, Mary asked, can our high school students at Crescent View volunteer for Beautify Fresno? Is there an age requirement? Honestly, I took my kids out there. I have a 7-year-old that went out there with me. So as long as they're accompanied by an adult, they can attend and help support the community. So it's a great family friendly time. You know, I mentioned I have 6 kids, so I'm doing rotations with all my kids to make sure that they understand the value of caring for this place we call home. There any other questions? Anyone else have any other questions? Claire also mentioned the economic development team is on the line. You can contact her for more information at economicdev@fresno.gov. You can also contact the mayor's office. I'll put that up here shortly. But you know, if folks, I think before we go, I want to ask for all participants, if you'd be so kind, we have a survey, a 10-minute survey. It's an important one that I want to avail to you. That's anonymous, that's optional, that maybe you can take sometime this week that will help us. I have it in English and in Spanish. I just dropped the links in the chat box that will help guide our priorities these next 4 years. So would love and beyond. And so if you have a chance, please take that survey that I just dropped in the chat, the English version, the Spanish version. I'm sure Sandra will also send it out, hopefully by email, but it'll help the city in its priorities. With that being said, if you have any questions for myself or Mayor, you can email us at mayor@fresno.gov. You can also call us directly at 559-621-8000. It's 559-621-8000. In sum, thank you so much for being a part of this group. Thank you for allowing me to serve you and work alongside you here in this community. It's the best place, the place we call home. We we know this is one Fresno. We can't do it alone. We got to do it together. And we just appreciate your ongoing support, encouragements, prayers, thoughts, anything you have to offer, complaints. We'll take it all. We just value you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. It's an honor to have you here, to hear from you. Your passion and your positiveness is contagious. So I am so honored to have you here. We're looking forward to assisting and helping in any way that we can. I think we love to do something with our team to go and beautify Fresno and our board of directors. I'm volunteering them here for all of that, but we would love to help out in any way that we can. So thank you so much. An honor to have you here today. And I think Mr. Rios has a question. Maybe you can unmute him or you can unmute yourself. Yes, there you go.
Yeah, well, Matthew, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. And I'm moving around today, so I don't have my camera on, but I did hear all that you had to say. You know, I wanted just to thank you, not just for the duties that you're performing now with the city, but also for the passion that you brought right when you got to Fresno as part of Habitat. For anyone who doesn't know, Mr. Grundy, he's one of the most authentic and genuine leaders who we have here. And Matthew, I just want to let you know that especially the calls to action, while we were on the call, I signed up for Beautify Fresno at Western Shield. So encourage everyone else, especially if you want to spend a couple of hours beautifying a great city. And also, you know, just lastly, thank you for your support of this organization. I know the foundation is doing work with our small businesses here, and probably no organization is touching those who are the hardest to reach than this organization. I had the privilege of visiting a few weeks ago where I saw Mr. Preciado outside working directly with customers who are pulling up, needing technical assistance around their small business, you know, just doing everything he could to help those that are, you know, that are hardest to reach. So appreciate everything the city's doing with this organization, and congratulations to you.
Well, I just want to respond just by saying thank you, Tim. It's great to see you, and a big shout out to Wells, because you all have always been a great partner, not just with Habitat, but with so many partners throughout the community, a sponsor here as well. So we just thank you for your leadership, your friendship. You know how I feel about you. I see others on here like Dr. County and others. Again, we're one community, and there's so many great folks, and I'm just honored to run alongside you. And let's keep supporting the foundation here and you know, the leadership here. And so thank you again.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And to conclude our Q&A session, there is one last question that I received here as a private message. And the question is there a plan to increase funding to the city parks and recreation activities for our community? Oh, I think, wait, okay, I think we.
All right, good, I'm unmuted, thank you. Yes, great question. In fact, the voters demanded it. If many of you have heard, some time ago, 2018, Measure P was passed, and it went some back and forths in terms of whether or not it was a valid a valid measure that was passed, and alas, it is valid and has passed. And so the result of Measure P and the 3/8% sales tax that will fund Measure P will yield over $35 million a year to be invested in our local parks and recreation and activities in our city. And so the good news is that just this last, actually today, later today, the City Council, myself and several other members have interviewed all the members that will serve on the Measure P Commission. Some of you, perhaps in this group, know our good friend Jose Leon Barraza. He has been recommended as one of the members of that group who's had a great voice for a long time representing the Latino community. and some of our under-resourced parks. And that's being voted on later today by council. And in terms of the adoption of these inaugural members, which we know will happen. And so just so everyone knows, that once the commission's up and running, we think late July, the tax is going to begin. And then by late October, we will start actually receiving the checks for the money that can now be deployed throughout our park system. So we're going to see a huge improvement in our parks systems and services. This is a 30-year tax. And so this is awesome. Our kids and our kids' kids will see the benefits of it all across parts of the community that perhaps have not seen and benefited from good quality green space in the past. So we are there. Shout out to all of you, because many of you voted for or supported it in years past, and here we are. Hope that answer helps.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for spending the morning here with our organization, with our participants. It's been a pleasure to be able to connect with you, learn more about the role and also of serving our city of Fresno, but also the great things that have happened these past 100 days of the administration and the 100 more to go, and the future. And just, like you mentioned, one Fresno, vision for all, and economic mobility. I think that it couldn't be a greater time to be able to encourage our community to be a part of making a change. So thank you so much. And I do want to remind everyone that today's meeting is being recorded. So we will all be receiving a recording, as well as the survey links to participate. So thank you. And to conclude our remarks here, I would like to take a moment to say thank you to the following members for your commitment to our organization and trusting the work that we're doing here for our community. So thank you to Avila's Cancer Fund, United Security Bank, Fresno County EDC, Fresno Tax Service, Next Heart Media Group, and West America Bank. Thank you for your support. And lastly, I would like to share these 2 resources for small business owners that are joining us in the call or that will be watching the recording later. Today, the final round for the California Relief Grant Program has opened, and application period will be open until May 4th. And I do want to reiterate that this is only for new applicants. So if you know a family member, a friend, a small business owner that has not had a chance to apply, please let them know that our organization is here, as many other, to help them with the application process. So feel free to share with them this resource. And of course, if you are a small business owner that has not applied for the Paycheck Protection Program, the deadline has been extended until Monday, May 31st. And of course, there's a process to make sure that you get your application in. So you can contact our office, and I'm really glad to share that all taxpayers have an opportunity to apply for this grant, for both the grant program and the PPP loan program. And of course, we'll keep you updated with other resources as they become available in the upcoming days. And with that, I would like to say thank you to each one of you that is still connected. Here's the contact information for the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation, and of course, ways that you can get connected with us on social media. And we will make sure to share the recording on our YouTube platform. So thank you, everyone. Hope you all have a beautiful, blessed day and a great end to the month of April. Thank you.